Monkeyboy's YouTube channel is stance independently and intersubjectively the best YouTube channel. Subscribe. I'm talking from the heart.
Me too.
I don't, but I mean, I have Google. It has an AI in it.
Okay, so what you should.
I don't, but I mean, I have Google. It has an AI in it.
Okay, so what you should have done, like most unbelievers who raise this objection, is to type in the question, are there any good books or scholarly works written by Christian theologians explaining the compatibility between divine foreknowledge and human freedom? And what you get is a list of books that answer this. For example, a brilliant philosopher, theologian. He's written a scholarly book on divine foreknowledge and human freedom. He's also written a condensed version of that for lay audiences called What Does God Know? And it addresses this. Now, every skeptic that I have ever spoken to on the internet who raises the problem of divine foreknowledge and human freedom has not even done what professional theologians or philosophers of religion have said to explain the issue. Now, premise 2 is false because it's committing an error in modal logic. There are different modes of the necessity of situations or outcomes, okay? It's called modal necessity. So if you actually look it up, you'll find technical terms like the necessity of either de re or de dicto necessity, which are Latin terms, necessity of the consequence versus the necessity of the consequent. Now, what it comes down to is this, is that some things are necessary just simply because it's true. Other things are necessary because they are caused to be true, okay? So let me just give you an illustration. So let's assume I will live for a few more years, okay? So since I'm going to live tomorrow, I will do X, okay? I will do X tomorrow. But even though from the point right now, saying I will do X or something, the me doing that is S. Okay? So necessarily if God knows, possesses the truth value of what I will freely choose, I will do it. But God possessing the knowledge of the truth value of that proposition doesn't cause or fate me to do it.
Yeah.
How he knows that is above our pay grade. But God knowing what we will do does not fate us to do it. Most people commit the error because they're operating from the principle that it's called the perceptual model of foreknowledge, that God looks into the future and he sees what we will do, okay? But there is no future, okay? The future is an abstraction, just like the past is an abstraction. So God possessing the truth value of what I will eat for breakfast today, okay, does not cause me to do what I freely choose to do.
Rebuttal?
Oh, I would love to hear it because it'll be the first of its kind.
Yeah, sure. So I have looked into responses. I think the response that William Lane Craig, as you describe it, is similar to what Molina gave, where he just denies that there's a causal relationship between God's knowledge. The problem is that whether the relationship is causal or not does not resolve the problem, specifically because of the ought implies can principle, right? So what that means is that God says
what you just said. The ought does what?
Yeah, I'm going to explain it. So in principle, if God says you ought to do something, that implies you can't.
Changing the subject right now. We're talking about how if God knows the truth value of what I will freely choose, I will do it, but I will still freely choose it.
I understand what you're saying, but but what I'm saying is that if God expects you to behave in a certain way, if he thinks you ought to
be
behave,
subject again,
because
you're changing the subject onto ethics.
Because the entire attack is on God
We're
being
not talking about
unjust.
ethics right now. We're talking about the divine foreknowledge and human freedom.
Yeah, but remember, my conclusion of my premises was that God is not just. This is an ethical attack.
Okay, we're still dealing with premise 2. Okay? So the point is this. If God knows the truth value of what I will freely choose, I will do it, but I will not necessarily do it because I could choose otherwise. Remember, do you understand that there are different modes of necessity?
Yeah,
For
we're having
example,
a.
I'm sitting down right now. Then necessarily it's true I'm sitting down, but it doesn't mean I can't stand up. Right? So do you understand, prior to me speaking with you, did you know that there are different modes of necessity?
Not the way that I thought about things.
Okay, so you're not informed that and this is not something that was concocted by some theologian. This is something that you learn if you study logic. Okay, it's called modes of necessity.
Darth, I understand the conversation that's going on. Just try to be a little more charitable. That's all.
I don't think
I don't think that Sinlith has a problem with your claim so far. I think he accepts this, but he's just going to say that if it's the case that God knows we're going to do bad things and doesn't prevent us from doing bad things, then...
No, Hannah, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah,
okay.
no, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that I understand forms of necessity, but I'm talking about different forms of determinism. I'm not talking about a causal form of determinism, right? There's a difference between having an ontological freedom to do something and having an epistemological freedom to do something. And by definition, if God demands that you act in a certain way, but has not given you an ontological freedom to choose actions, then you are still determined.
Where does it say that God commands us to do things that we cannot do?
Well, because you only have one path of a certain way, but it has not given you an ontological freedom to choose actions, then you are still determined.
Where does it say that God commands us to do things that we cannot do?
Well, because you only have one path available of actions in your life.
I'm not hearing specifics. What does God command me or you to do that you are in? No. Right now, I can choose not to steal. Right now, I can choose to love my neighbor at any given moment.
That's just an illusion. God has gave you an illusion of choice.
I think Darth is contradicting himself because
okay, if you don't remove this guy,
said he could never be gay.
If you
like
don't
there's
remove
this
him,
recording on the channel Darwin's Greatest
final
Hits
warning.
where
Don't remove
Darth
this
gets
guy,
asked if he could be gay, and he says he
are you
could
gonna
never
remove
be
this
gay,
Guys.
and that he can.
If you do not remove him, I'm leaving.
All right.
Warning.
Okay.
He is a stalker and a troll.
I got you. Jack, I'm going to remove you for now just because I am interested in the conversation.
Just remove him.
Darth, I'm talking. Can you hear me?
He came on here
Darth, can you hear me talking?
disrupted.
Darth,
All right,
can you hear me talking?
Leave. Okay, bye.
I'm removing Jack.
Later.
I'm removing Jack. What the hell?
No.
I was just removing him so you guys could continue. Darth, I was removing him. No,
Never
I know,
be
Jack.
gay.
I know, Jack. But you know how he is, and I really wanted him and
No.
Sinlith to talk. I'm not.